You had your chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from Rock Solid Studios in Granite Falls, it's time for MinneZona Sports, live with DJ Matty C. and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. We are back. Yes, episode 80. I can't believe it. It's crazy to me that we've gone 80 episodes. We've had so much fun along the way. We're closer to 100. But anyway, without further ado, I'm your host, DJ Matty C, a.k.a. Matt Callahan, a.k.a. Callie, a.k.a. Matty C, etc. And all the way from Woods and Shores Studios in Aiken, Minnesota, Paul Volt, the Shield. What is going on, Shield?
Dude, I don't know what has happened the last 24-plus hours in the world of Minnesota sports to get us to this point. We got so much that we need to divulge. I don't know how much more we can take. Something fantastic could happen right now, and we probably wouldn't even have time to talk about it tonight in the world of Minnesota sports.
Well, that's why, it was crazy these past, like you said, these past 24 hours. Is literally we had stuff ready to go, obviously, with the Vikings and whatnot. But not only that, Voldy, all of a sudden yesterday, that guy over here, Kaprizov, that guy.
This guy back here.
That signing. And then literally maybe a couple hours before the show, Garrison Rosas. Adios. Bye. See you later.
Thanks for playing,
Chief.
Like,
what is going on here? So we're going to get into that, literally right away. But before we even get to that, pick 'em. We got to give the leaderboard here out for pick 'em. And remember, make sure to make your picks, too, now, because we're into week 3 already. So let's throw out our leaders here for this week. And boom, look at this. Joe Service, intern guy's brother, 14 picks right out of 16 this week.
For him.
Damn good. And he jumps up. He's got 23 points. Look at this. Unbelievable. And Easy A, not far behind, 21. Cole Munson, 21. Jack Vickers, 21 as well. I mean, we got, Jeffrey, Jory, Mikey, Victor. I mean, they're doing a great job. And,
killing it.
We're working our way. But, I feel bad for Jimbo because he had a great week. But, hey, you know what? Jimbo's going to take, the victory as well as, these badass stickers as well. So,
that's right.
And again, we'll probably have a prize week coming up soon here for, I believe, week 4. It will be our next prize giveaway. And Easy A is pretty pumped. He says, woo! And I like it. Yeah, let's go. So, comment in. Make sure to make your picks before Thursday and whatnot, because the thing is you guys got to make your picks because you want to keep in the running for the Zona bundle. So,
that's right.
They're pretty dope, as we like to say here. The big bundle. We love it. All right, Voldy, let's get it rolling because there's a lot to talk about. We've got not only that, but we got table topics tonight. We've got some awesome table topics, ARA, the whole kit and caboodle. It's going to be fun. So, without further ado, it's time for some Tater Tot. Hot take.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
All right, Voldy, let's start it off. Obviously, we got to start off with bad news, then good news, then bad news for Tater Tot Hot Take tonight. But we start off with the Minnesota Timberwolves, literally just hours ago, have parted ways with Garrison Rosas. I don't think anybody saw this coming, and I think there's a lot of Wolves fans and a lot of zoners that are shocked by this news because we thought everything was going fine. We thought Rosas was doing a great job and everything like that, but all of a sudden, press release comes out, and there's a lot of kind of shock right now. Not like, oh my gosh, like, oh, like it was surprising. It was more surprising and shocking in some aspects too. But before I get into, I do have some reactions from people, so I want to throw this out there. I
love the reactions too; they're fantastic.
Exactly.
We got to get to these first.
Exactly, we got some good ones here, but we're gonna get into that in a second because Voldy, I want your thoughts on this, and the zoners, please comment away your thoughts on it as well. We'll make sure we get to them before we move on to the next topic and whatnot. So we'll try to keep this as orderly as possible. So anyway, Voldy, what are your thoughts on this big news, man? I mean, this is crazy.
I mean, this one, in my mind, this was just completely out of left field, honestly.
Literally, yeah.
Because it was just completely random. Because if you really look at it, with 2 seasons for Rosas, including this past season in a COVID season, and the season beforehand as well, with it being under the bubble, not getting a true full offseason in, you really didn't have much to go on. And, it doesn't take more than, at least a minimum of 3 years before you start to see the real true talent evaluation of how a GM, in this case, president of basketball operations, which is basically the same thing as the GM for the Timberwolves, truly start to show some merit in what is ultimately going to be the make or break season. It was going to be this year to start off what all the moves that Rosas was working with and the players and that he's brought in, some of the moves as well with the coaching staff. But just to cut ties even shortly before the season begins, I think training camp, starts this week or this weekend, for some teams. And I was just ultimately shocked because of the fact that it's happening so close to the start of the year that they're going to go with a guy who's going to be in the interim spot, and they're probably bringing somebody as well middle of the season like they did with Finch as head coach this past season to basically do things until the next season basically. So the Timberwolves are again already starting behind the 8 ball once again, and they're about 10 steps behind everybody else. And I'm just completely I was caught off guard when I got the notification here this afternoon.
I think everyone. I think everyone was too. I mean, it's crazy to think that they all of a sudden are just like, So I guess the first inkling before I get into some of these reactions, and there's a quote made by the Timberwolves here too, which I think is hilarious in some aspects too. But it's like you said, Voldy, it's random. It's really random. But from what I understand, there was a lot of friction between Rosas and the front office and some people in the front office. Now, the Wolves organization, so far, they rebuild, Butler incident, this, and that. It's a mess. It's a train wreck. And yes, but getting rid of Rosas, how can you have friction within this organization when Rosas literally obliterated the roster for one when he got here, and he got some talented guys, and Edwards kind of fell in your lap, but at the same time, I mean, when you have Edwards, you go out and get D'Lo, you go out and you get all these other guys, Beverly, and now what do you do? That's the question, right. Especially before these training camps start and whatnot. It's crazy to me. But another quote that Glenn Taylor made, and of course it's not like he's going to say that they won't do this, but he said, "Today the Minnesota Timberwolves parted ways with President of Basketball Operations, Gerson Rosas. As an organization, we remain committed to building a winning team that our fans and city can be proud of."
Yeah, okay, bud.
Yeah, like you said. Yeah, okay, bud. That is completely absurd. And
garbage.
I mean, can Glenn Taylor understand the misery that we've had since KG's been gone, since all these other guys have been gone too? It's just ridiculous. But I want to throw that out there. I want to get to Mets, and then I got to get to our guy Cole Munson. He had a reaction.
Oh, yeah.
Cat also had a reaction to it, and I think people have saw this. Mets says, you would think Cat signed off on this, even though Rosas did everything for Cat, like bringing in D'Lo.
True.
Exactly. D'Lo, you have Ant now, and Ant's probably sitting like, what the heck is going on here? So
yep.
I think Pat Bev
coming in, and it's like, all right, see ya, I guess.
Maybe, and we're going to get into this for A or A, but maybe this involves Simmons somewhat too. So we can think about, maybe they're like, we want Simmons, and Rosas is like, they want too much for Simmons. Maybe it's something along those lines. We're going to get to that for A or A, but I just wanted to bring that up. But anyway, Voldy, I did tell you this, the unfiltered version of what Mr. Munson said. And obviously this is a PG with a dash of 13 show here. But we'll read this and obviously we'll, blurb out the things that were said in this.
Right.
So this is what our good friend Cole Munson said. He was starting to build something, and Glenn decided to F it up. F you, Glenn Taylor, you dumb effer. I hate this stupid organization. This doesn't make sense. Go ahead, hire your next David Kahn or Tibbs. Why can't we have nice things? And then an expletive after that. He was pissed. And I get it. He's a big Wolves guy. I mean, we all know that. Maybe they fired him because they got rid of Ricky Rubio. I don't know. I mean, is that possible? I joke. I kid. But anyway, if you want to hear the unfiltered or see the unfiltered version, send me a text or whatnot, and I'll take care of it.
I feel like people could read between the lines there when you cleaned it up a little bit.
Oh,
so.
yeah. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure they did. But anyway, I like I said, you never know who's tuning in. There might be a kid tuning in, and they probably like, what the heck are they talking about? But you don't want to know. But Karl Anthony Towns, Voldy, had some things to say about this too, or actually a couple things. WTF, which means you can make up your imagination with that one.
Yeah.
So, obviously, before we move on to Kaprizov, because I want to wrap this up, because we're going to hear more about this later in the weeks to come and whatnot. But, the reaction from Towns tells me one thing. No one told Cat about this before this happened. And I don't think they told any of the Wolves players that this was going to happen. So this just shows you, like, the dysfunction within this organization is terrible. I mean, it is so bad. And does this spell for Cat to say, hey, I'm out if you guys are doing this? I mean, what do you think, Voldy? Do they think that Cat's under the mindset, like, why are they getting rid of the guy that wanted to give me everything on this team, So I don't know. What are your thoughts? I mean, do you think Cat's thinking, hey, maybe I wanted to ask for a trade now?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he starts thinking that way as well, just because, like, however long he's been here, he's seen as many coaches and as many, GMs, basketball operations, presidents come in and out, and the fact that they got the new ownership coming in, not even in a year and a half still to come before A-Rod and Mark Lowry take over for the Timberwolves. I mean, that's still a long ways. That's a lot of basketball that's still going to be to happen, or potentially could not happen as well. Who knows what mindset that Cat's under as well. He could take the Ben Simmons route. More to come on that in A or A as well, saying I'm not going to show up. I'm just not. I don't trade me, or you know what? I'm just gonna go do something else, basically. Yeah. But I wouldn't be surprised if we start thinking about that and start going that route. But I really hope not, because literally that's the only thing Timberwolves got going for them on a consistent basis is Cat.
And then you have Ant now too, and obviously D'Lo. It's like, what do you do? Does this have to do, like, there's a lot of questions. Does this have to do with the Simmons deal? Or because I know that their name's been thrown around there. But also, is it because of the new ownership? Did they want Rosas out and wanted their own guy in? And apparently, Lori and A-Rod are quite fond of Elton Brand, apparently. And I don't believe that. I don't believe that's a great idea from what I've been seeing on Twitter, because I don't know if Brand is just not. I think he was a great basketball player. Don't get me wrong, but apparently this is not. This is really hasn't been good, and they have, and I believe the assistant GM is taking over for him right now. I'll have to look up the name, but if the zoners have any whereabouts about that, since we got to move on to some other stuff, please put it in the comments, whatever you want to do. But here we go. I got it actually. It's funny, huh? Sachin Gupta, I probably butchered that, will reportedly take over as interim head of basketball operations.
Yeah, I think it was like executive vice president of basketball operations. I think it was the next guy down or something like that.
Okay, so there's that. There's that to consider too. So, but anyway, we'll hear more about this in the coming next couple days here, and we'll keep you informed on how this all transpired and whatnot. And they're looking for a permanent replacement for him, though. So.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot. I think there's a lot of potential, and it's the Wolves, man. You never know with this damn team. But anyway, let's move on to some more happier news. It finally happened. I can't believe it. I think we knew it was going to happen, but it just took so damn long. But Dollar Bill Kirill, our guy, is back with the Minnesota Wild. He signs a 5-year, $45 million deal, and that's what we were kind of thinking about. We did talk about this. We were thinking 5, 6, not too far ahead, because obviously we want to see how well he develops. But it is looking pretty damn good for the Minnesota Wild right now, and it's crazy to think, because we're like, when is this going to happen? Like, can't we get this figured out? And, like, signs were pointing to, like, I don't think this is ever going to get done. Like, isn't it going to get done? Is it gonna... But once the KHL, I believe, deadline passed, I think we're feeling a little bit better about that. But right now, it's good that this is done. We got our guy back. Kaprizov is ready to go for the Minnesota Wild. Inked. Finally, as we say in the lower third. So, Voldy, your thoughts on the signing? Do you like the contract length and the dollars that they put at him? And he's probably going to get another one if he plays as well as he did this past year, and he might even get better. So, obviously, if this was ARA, it's got my stamp of approval on it. So, Voldy, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think it's a smart contract. 5 years. $45 million, $9 million a season through 2025-26. It's going to be the highest number of any player on the Minnesota roster. But if of all the other players were playing like Kirill, Kaprizov, we would have won about 5 Stanley Cups in a row right now if that were the case as well. But I like the fact that I don't like the fact that it took so long.
Yeah.
I'm happy that it finally happened, and it also happened on technically the last day of summer as well. So we go right into the fall, feeling really good with preseason opening up here and training camp, I should say, starting this weekend for the Wild too. So no better time than now. And of course, as the news hit, he's on a private jet from Russia heading back to Minnesota, and he touches down late last night, and you know what? He's ready to go. He's been training all summer, ready at the right time. Now it's just about building on that.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of players back from last year, got a couple of guys coming in as well from the offseason and free agency. Now I'm going to start building around that a little bit more, get some more, help out there. I mean, Fiala, Zuccarello, you got JEE and all those guys that were big contributors this last year for the Wild. Now let's just see if we can start mixing in some of those other guys, see what Jordan Greenway is going to do this year for the Wild, see what, the elevation, the goaltending situation. Obviously, that's going to help Kaprizov in the long run to at least be able to, he's not going to have to put up 5-6 points a game. But I mean, he can certainly do that if he wants to.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have to have the pressure of doing that as well if Cam Talbot and also Double K, Capo Kakinen, wants to keep things in net and, maybe mix in a few shutouts every 2-3 starts as well. But I definitely like it. It's a smart contract. See how the first 3 years play out and maybe throw in another 3-4 year contract as well. And, he'll be 29 by the end of the first contract. By that time, you'll see if he's going to be an established goal scorer, and at that point, we'll see how long we can ride this gravy train out for the Wild, and hopefully by that point, within 5 years, have a Stanley Cup in Minnesota.
Let's hope. I mean, we've been waiting for it for too long. State of hockey, we need one. So just kind of going, like you talked about back in the off season and how this was going. But apparently, and this is the sources, Adam Schefter said, no, this hockey now. But anyway, you get the gist. Talks between the Wild and Kaprizov, I guess they were tense, and there was a deafening silence between both sides in the summer. But for some reason, Billy G kind of stayed patient on this. And he said, he said to ESPN apparently, that he wasn't concerned about the talks continuing to start of training when training camp was coming. You have to stay patient. It's not just us that's involved in this. It's a player and his feelings and what he feels. So we feel the process. So we all process it kind of differently. These things are complicated and can take time. So it did. And that's what he predicted. And I think he wanted to stay at a number, and he stayed at it for a little bit, which is something that you want with as a GM and whatnot. But, I mean, for myself, I mean, stamp of approval. It's that simple. And they needed him to come back, because if they didn't, I think the Target Center might have a bunch of angry fans a little earlier than usual. But this is something that I think he believes the one way, like he thinks, should I be paid more, the length, things like that, which he's at liberty to do. He can do that. That's the main thing. But to find a middle ground in this situation was key. And that's what they did. They found the middle ground, and I think it's working for both sides. And if he kicks ass these next 5 years, and then he's due for another or maybe they give him a contract a little earlier than expected. But who knows? Who knows? And obviously, we're stoked about it. Zoners, let us know your thoughts on Kaprizov finally signing. He should be. I think he's already in Minnesota right now, and then he's ready for training camp. So I'm looking forward to the season, and I think you are as well, Voldy. And watch out. The Soviet Savior's coming back, baby. Let's go.
Come on, baby.
Dollar bill. Kirill, let's go. Kirill the thrill.
Blood this year.
Yeah.
Got a taste of it.
Yeah,
go
sir.
For the whole thing.
Whole kit and caboodle. And just to add on, in 55 games this past year, too, 27 goals, 51 points in general. The guy's just great. And people are keying in on him. So that's kind of the cool thing about it. And he's great. But before we move on, now which management is worse, Wolves or Twins?
Ooh. I like it.
Well, just, I'm going to give, and this might be surprising, Voldy, but I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to Minnesota Twins because they've won, they've had good teams, but they've been the bridesmaid, but never the bride. I mean,
the bridesmaid. They're the attendant.
Yeah, they're the attendant. Yeah, personal attendant. How about that? Yeah, let's go with that. There's nothing wrong with it, but in this aspect, how it works.
Yes.
But the Wolves have just been terrible, absolutely terrible, and we all know how I feel about the poll ads. So yeah, but go ahead, Voldy. Yeah.
Hell, the Timberwolves, they're not even invited to the wedding. They're just like, oh, somebody got married on Facebook. That's how. And it's just, I mean,
one of those people.
Yeah, they're those people. And I think the Timberwolves have got to have the worst management because they've been consistent at being bad is the thing. And it's just, you would think one of these days, and of course, like in the last, 19 seasons, they made the playoffs once and got trounced in the first round or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious to see because of the fact that they've been so bad for so long. You would think sooner or later that they would have been able to at least put something together to a point. Again, once in the last 19 seasons or something like that. Once since 2004, basically. And that's, completely sad to see as well. But again, you would have thought at this point that something would have happened to at least push in the right direction. But alas, they have been trash nonetheless.
Trash is trash nonetheless. But yeah, I don't want to get into it with the poll ads right now because I don't have time for it. But one thing I do want to get into, and I think we need to get into this. Last Sunday, the Minnesota Vikings fall to the Arizona Cardinals. The curse is still with us. The missed kicks are still with us. Yeah. I really don't know. Here's the thing. I watched a good chunk of the end of the game. And obviously, when Joseph went up to kick, I was feeling confident, man. I really was. And I believe you were probably feeling confident after he's hitting those field goals. Yeah, the missed extra point, I believe it was tipped. From what I understand, it was tipped.
I think it was too, yeah.
Or something like that. But there's not a whole lot he can do in that aspect. But when the kick was up, I thought it was for sure good. But then all of a sudden it started turning, and then I legitimately, and I was pretty pissed, and a lot of expletives were going, and I went, boom! Obviously, I'm not going to say it. But it's a heartbreaker because this is a game that they had in their grasp, literally in their grasp, and it was a thrill. It was an entertaining game. Don't get me wrong, and I think there was a lot. It was
great. Yes.
There's a lot of positives with this game, Voldy, and I believe the zoners would agree with this as well. But there are some things that we need to chat about that really kicked them in the nuts, and it's defensively, and there's also some boneheaded decisions that some of these players have made. I'm going to get into Zim for a second at some point here as we're talking. But, Voldy, just kind of give me your overall thoughts of the game. And, zoners, please comment away. We'll get to you on with this whole Vikings games because it was fun. It was fun, but it sucks in the end. So, your overall thoughts, Voldy, go.
Look, I only had 3 bad things about this game, and a lot of it was just missed opportunities. Because, overall, it was only the second game of the year for the Vikings, but they played great considering they got their rear ends handed to them in week 1. The fact that, Rondale Moore was left wide open on a 77-yard touchdown for the rookie was embarrassing. 2, where the heck was Max Williams when we needed a tight end, 2-3 years ago? And how come the Vikings never got a look at him after he got, released by Baltimore when he got drafted in the second round those years ago? And 3, you can't have the ball inside the 50-yard line when you got Matt Prater up against you because he is going to kick 60-plus yard bombs every time. Sure. 62-yarder, a franchise record. He already owns the NFL record for the 64-yarder. And you know what? I think he'd probably hit from 70. That 62-yarder would have definitely been good from 70 yards on out. Defense played great. They're able to contain a lot of opportunities against Kyler Murray as well. Daniil got after him. They got stops when they needed to. Nick Vigil with a nice pick 6 that he just literally saw the entire way and ran into the end zone. So I was very happy with the defensive performance of the game as well. Again, some big plays that were, some defensive mistakes on the backside. And you know what? Sooner or later, you're going to have to give up a big play to Kyler Murray, and then ended up happening that way. But other than that missed kick, I had no problem with the Vikings' performance as well. It's just very unfortunate they had to come all the way down to a missed extra point and that missed field goal. The first thing that came into my mind was, that meme of the guy that's turning hard onto the exit ramp? It's just one of those. It's instead of the car, it's the football. It goes straight for a Vikings win into the off ramp for another cursed field goal miss, and he just cranks it hard
Yep.
to the right there
Yep.
for the big old fat L. But again, I mean, a lot of great takeaways. Yes, they had the early lead in the game as well, gave up the halftime to trail, but they're hanging in there, and the Vikings were able to give Kirk some time as well, and and that certainly did help opening up things. KJ Osborne, hello, wide receiver number 3, finally here through 2 games as well, and he had a nice long touchdown, his first NFL career touchdown, the second play of the game. That was great to see, but at the end of the day, you can't leave it in the kicker's hands. We got to find a way to stop doing that. We got to blow some teams out by 15, 20 points at this rate.
I miss that, especially that.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, Voldy, I agree with pretty much everything that you said. And here, my thoughts are this, and I think if you narrowed it down, you could say, well, they could have done this, they could have done this, they could have done this. The guy's got to make the field goal.
Yeah.
It comes down to that. This is a 37-yard field goal. You have to make that. Now, a lot of people are saying, yes, you had 41 seconds to get it closer.
That's very true.
You had 41 seconds to get it closer.
41 seconds.
Okay.
And a timeout, right?
No, I don't. Wait. Did they have a timeout? No.
I want to say they had a timeout still.
I don't think they did. But
they still had 41 seconds. Run off 1-2 more
Right,
plays.
right. Yeah, you're right. No, you're right. Yep, they did have a timeout. You're right.
Okay.
That's right. There we go. And I was thinking of the Cardinals for some reason, because I was thinking that if there's a couple ways that this kind of went about, and yes, to get closer, but you leave yourself at risk to throw it in the end zone, but what if it gets picked? There's that. Or you run it with Dalvin. What if he has that? And again, he was down, but at the same time, do you risk him fumbling? That's another question that you have. So with that being said, I believe with Joseph, I wonder if he was wondering if Kingsbury was going to take a timeout before he was going to kick. But I feel like in that situation, you just kick it anyway. That they were going to take a timeout either way. And maybe that messed it up mentally, but he just said, he owned up to it. But it's just a curse, man. I mean, it's that simple. It's a curse with kickers and whatnot. So here's another thing that I want to bring up. A lot of people are pointing the finger at Zim. And a lot of people are saying, well, Zim should have gotten closer. Zim should have done this. Zim should have done this. It's like, well, when you have a chance, when you're sitting at 37 yards, that should be a chip shot. And technically, it's close to an extra point now in today's NFL. And he said he felt good about the kick. I knew he had missed the extra point earlier, but has been kicking good. We are indoors, perfect surface. I'm thinking this should be an easy one here. And he just missed it. And it's just plain and simple there. So anyway, let me ask you this, and I asked this to the zoners too, because there's a lot of people that were ripping Zim, and a lot of people that think, and if they keep losing, I think it definitely could be bad for the Minnesota Vikings. But do you kind of blame this loss on Zim, Voldy, and zoners? Do you guys think that you blame Zim for this loss? What do you think? What this management, this clock management, the squib kick, as well, and Prater making the 62-yard field goal. So, Voldy, zoners, what do you got?
I don't want to blame Zim is the thing, but ultimately it is the head coach's fault, because at the end of the day, he's the one that gets the final say on everything. I don't want to blame him, but unfortunately, it is his fault. And like he had said earlier too this week, talking about that they're 1 or 2 plays away from being 2-0, and they certainly are. But at the end of the day, 1 or 2 plays, you're still 0-2. Unfortunately, at the end of the day, the results aren't reflecting the potential of the performance for your team. So ultimately, I think it is Zim's fault for this one, because I don't know who else to point the finger to. Maybe the zoners know better than I do.
Well, let's take a look at Let's take a look at what the zoners set. And Matt says, Breland following in Rhodes' footsteps with getting burned and then limping. Well, A.J. Green, the corpse of A.J. Green, I think somebody said, which was pretty funny. But he got right by him. And now you got to rely on Dantzler here. I mean, that's the next question. At what point do you go for 2 and get that point back? That's a good point. Literally, good point. I had to throw that in there, but it's. I guess I'm not, and the reason why I say I'm not blaming Zim for this is because at the end of the day, it comes down to the kicker making the kick, and I think from a confidence standpoint, Zim felt he was going to make that kick. I felt he was going to make that kick. Now, I'd be fine with getting closer, sure. Yeah, of course. But let's remember, Blair Walsh missed from 27, okay? I mean, there's nothing new here. And yes, different weather conditions and things like that. But at the same time, it's one of those things where he had the utmost confidence in his kicker, and that's what he did. Now, I will agree on this. The squib kick, I really think they should have just kicked it out of the ends and just had them start from the 25. That is what they should have done. I believe that was a mistake.
Yep.
Especially Prater. I mean, because Prater's kicked a lot of long field goals now. Let's not forget that. But apparently he thought he wasn't going to get it, he didn't think that they'd get that close and whatnot. So then guess what? Joke's on us now. Focus on your interim, Adam Vinatieri. It's true, Vinatieri. Yeah, that's kind of, or true. Ryan Longwell. Kerf Doctor says this all the time. Ryan Longwell. Where's Ryan Longwell when you need him?
Exactly.
Oh my gosh! But it's like you said, Voldy. They easily could be 2-0, but they're not. They're 0-2.
They're not.
They're 0-2, and they go into Seattle. Or not into Seattle. Seattle finally is coming to Minnesota. And we have been harping on this show. On this show, Voldy, you and I have said, why in the hell do the Vikings always play Seattle at gosh darn Seattle? Finally, it's at Minnesota. Seneca Wallace. Yeah, the whole soundbite. I don't get it either. We both don't get it. But let's wrap this up. Move on to table topics. But
yes, sir.
Voldy, do we get the win at home with fans back and whatnot? Are the Vikings going to finally get in the win column here to start the season?
It's going to take another performance like they did this past week, minus leaving it in the kicker's hands. It's going to have to be a 35, 40-point performance because you know that Russell Wilson is he's firing on all cylinders right now. I mean, even with the fact that they had a rough start to the season, but they are steadily, getting the offense going. And, once they get Russell Wilson going, it's going to be hard to stop him too. So, I mean, the defense is going to have to come to play this week.
The defense is going to have to come to play, exactly, because, I mean, Breland's he's got to get his crap together and whatnot. But I think they win this week. I really do. I think finally we beat these damn Seahawks and get the much-needed win. I think these guys are going to come in fired up because there's so much talent on this team. It's like you Thielen, you have JJ, you have Cook, you have these guys that, I mean, offensively, defense has done – Daniil's been fantastic. 3 sacks this past Sunday. I mean, let's get it going here, people. Nick Vigil. Let's get Anthony Barr back. Hopefully, because we do need him. We need Barr back. We need another big guy in our linebacking core, and that's what we need.
Seriously.
But Xavier Woods has been good and everything, but we need. Yeah, I mean, it's the defense needs to get it going here. So I think they're going to win. I really do. I won't put a score on it, but I think they're going to win. I have some belief in the Vikings.
Yeah, some belief. Some.
That's all we can ask for. All right, that's going to do it for our long Tater Tot hot take. But we had to cover this. I mean, there's so many things that we had to cover here this week. But we're going to move on to table topics. We've got some good ones for tonight. I I already told Voldy what we got, and I think the zoners are going to love these as well because these table topics have some references to celebrities, the NCAA, and also wrestling. Wrestling. What's going on here? So let's get it going with some table topics.
The tables have been set. It's time for MinneZona's Table Topics.
All right, Voldy, zoners, it is time for some table topics. And our first table topic for tonight is, now we got three. We got three now, so just FYI. And then we have the fact on the back of the card and whatnot. But, Voldy, you've had some time to think about this one, and the zoners, I think, will as well. Let's channel your inner WWE, WWF, and I guess AEW now, I believe, is a big thing now, too. What's the most entertaining wrestling move? Voldy, what do you got?
There's only one answer. It's the only answer. It is the most electrifying move in all of sports entertainment. It is the people's elbow. I mean, you cannot tell me back in the day, Friday Night SmackDown on UPN or on the CW when it made the move as well, that you did not get on your feet whenever The Rock would stand over the opponent, kick the arm back in, slide the elbow pad, throw it off, whip his hands back and forth, jump to the ropes, jump over the guy, jump off the ropes, land the people's elbow, boom, done sauce. That is the right and only answer for the best, the most exciting and most entertaining wrestling move. Come on.
Well, that is, and the thing is, The Rock was fantastic. Still, who knows? He might come back, and he's still ripped. He's still, he's still doing his thing.
He doesn't need to, but I mean, he'll make an appearance.
Yeah,
every now and then.
I think he definitely has. That was pretty much his platform, and then all of a sudden he goes from that to just a movie star and whatnot, and even beyond that, XFL owner now too. So go Battlehawks. That's hopefully that gets going here soon. But for myself, Voldy, The Rock also had a rival, a big rival. I would like to say too, and The Rock would always take this guy on. And in the early years, I think this guy wore the crown a little bit, and I don't think there's anything. And obviously, you got to give respect to the people's elbow. It's awesome,
of course.
But before that, it was the middle fingers. Okay, obviously, I'm not going to do it here. The middle fingers, the kick, the Stone Cold Stunner. Let's go. The Stone Cold Stunner, I believe. It's probably what? We love it. I think that's probably our favorite wrestling move is the Stone Cold. My favorite wrestling is the Stone Cold Stunner. It just, you give a nice kick and you just boom come down with it. And not only that, you throw up some middle fingers. Obviously, we're not going to do it here, but you can look up that on YouTube. And then not only that, after you do it, you grab a couple of beers, you just douse it on the guy that you just stunnered and whatnot. I mean, no one's safe. No one's safe from the Stone Cold Stunner, but it's always fun to see Stone Cold Steve Austin raise some hell and kick some ass. So what? But I would say Stone Cold Stunner for myself. But zoners, throw it in here as well. Even if it's not your favorite, you can throw in some. I mean, the RKO, you saw a lot of that.
The Diamond Cutter, Diamond Dallas Page,
yep.
Figure 4 leg lock.
Yep, the Rock Bottom. If you add another one for there, the Tombstone Pile Driver, the Undertaker, and whatnot. We could go on and on and on, but we won't. But I like it. People's Elbow, Stone Cold Stunner. I love it. So this fact is a little outdated because it says The Undertaker is undefeated at WrestleMania. Not true anymore. Brock Lesnar, Mr. F5 himself, also U of M grad, and also was a wrestler for the U of M. beat Brock Lesnar. Or Brock Lesnar beat The Undertaker in
We
WrestleMania
got to see
30.
if there's a new set of table topics or something like that. Look into that. Do a little investment. Or maybe we should make our own table topics or something.
That's another idea. Swanton bomb from the rafters for Jeff Hardy. So Jeff Hardy. He was another guy that I enjoyed. Like, yep, exactly. And the Hardy Boys.
Throw it up.
The Hardy Boys, throw it up. So, anyway, that's the fact. The Undertaker is not undefeated anymore. He is retired.
No.
He's retired now, and he had a great career, man.
Living the good life. Big old Mark Calloway.
He's living the good life. But anyway, that's our first table topic. Our second table topic. Okay, Voldy, got to think real hard now because this is something that's interesting too, and I think the zoners will like this too. Which celebrity would you love to see at a game, at a sports, at a hockey game, at a football game, basketball, whatever? What do you got, Voldy? Zoners, what do you have? Which celebrity would you love to see at a game? Go.
The first one that always pops up into my mind is Michael Jordan for some reason.
Okay.
I know he's a celebrity, he's an athlete, he's a global brand ambassador. I just want to see the mystique myself. I want to see Michael Jordan in person, how truly big he actually is, him rolling with his guys, head to toe Jordan gear, left and right. I just want to see it, is the thing. Maybe say, hey, Mike, how's it going? You know, enjoy the game, all that fun stuff. I saw Michael Jordan at a Wild game or something like that. I'd lose my goddamn mind something like that. But, like, I know that's not going to happen. It's not. It's definitely, you ain't going to be at a Timberwolves game, I'll tell you that much for sure. But if I saw Michael Jordan in person and he, like, walked right by me, I wouldn't even know what to do with myself for the rest of my life at that point. But that's the first person that popped up into my mind was Michael Jordan.
That's not bad. The mystique, like you said, with Michael Jordan. Seymour says this. Brian Bosworth, the Boz.
The dude.
The dude, yeah.
Something else.
Was good in college, not in the profession. I mean, Bo Jackson took him out, but still, I'd like, I think he's definitely a different person now, and he's been in some commercials, so that's been kind of cool too. But I guess for myself. There's kind of two that are, going in my mind a little bit. As it's really not related to any sports right now, and or kind of, I guess, in some ways. But I want to see in person Drake at a game, at a Toronto Raptors game, and whatnot. I want to see what he's saying on the court there. And I do enjoy it. And a lot of people are like, oh, he's just, he thinks he's above everybody else. He's getting into it. It's like, he's just enjoying the game. And he's trying to get, these players going because he knows a lot of these guys. But I'd say Drake. I like to see Drake at a Raptors game. Or like, if the Wolves play the Raptors, and he's at the game, I just want to see, like, how many security guards are there and whatnot. But I would probably say Drake. But another person I'd really like to see at any Minnesota thing as well. And I think, we've been in talks with this person's people, and they've been in talks with us as well. We're still working on a deal. Was it 5, 6, 7 years later? But it's going to happen. And I believe it'd be Kate Upton. She's been at games. But not Wolves games, not any Minnesota game. But yeah.
Working on it.
We're working on it. Kate Upton, for sure. We're working on it. So, Drake, Kate Upton, those are my two. Just off the top of the head, too. For Mets, this is pretty apparent for him being a Packers fan. Lil Wayne at Lambeau, and he does go to Lambeau a couple times. But I do like Wayne's music and whatnot, but I don't like the fact that he's a Packer fan. I mean, come on, man.
It is what it is.
Come on, man. But,
he can do better, chooses not to.
Yeah, there you go. Seymour says, if we're on that front, get me at a Knicks game with Spike Lee. Now, that's pretty good. That's damn good. I'd say, too, just to see what he's like courtside. And I like Jack Nicholson, I think, was big in Lakers
games.
He was always on yelling and cussing and whatnot. That'd be kind of fun, too. But, Yeah, those are some celebrities that I'd like to see.
Or just put you in like any courtside seat at a Lakers game, see what celebrities actually show up, and see what happens.
Well, obviously more of a local, but Kyle Rudolph at the Gopher game,
True.
and then all of a sudden run into him in the parking lot. That was awesome.
There you go.
Here are some diehard celebrity sports fans. Okay, Stephen King, the guy that's the kind of the scary movie. Does those scary books and movies and whatnot.
You
Boston
just
Red Sox.
Birthday today. It's Stephen King's birthday.
Well, there you go. There you go. The Boston Red Sox. Boston Red Sox, big Red Sox fan. Jessica Alba, Golden State Warriors fan. State Warriors fan. Now, is that before the Steph Curry deal and stuff like that, or?
I think she's from that area or something.
From there? Okay, so I'd assume then that she was. Billy Crystal is a big Los Angeles Clippers fan. I thought he was a big Yankees guy.
Yeah, well, he's originally from there, so.
Oh, okay. And then Condoleezza Rice, Cleveland,
Condi.
the Browns.
Browns.
The Browns. Oh, they're doing pretty well now. So I think, we'll see what happens when they play the Vikings. But then obviously Spike Lee, New York Knicks. So there's that as well. Shall give you guys proof. Here it is and whatnot. And there's plenty more. Prince, obviously Vikings, anything Minnesota and whatnot. So, yeah.
Interesting. No Jack Nicholson. Lakers. No. Oh golly, I had like 3 other examples in my head.
Sure.
But
yeah, we'll get to it at some point.
Alyssa Milano, she's a big Dodger fan.
Oh yeah, yep. And then obviously Magic Johnson, big, obviously Dodgers. So he's a part owner, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Him and it's that ownership group. They own the Dodgers. So.
Yep, that's right. Okay, and then here's our last table topic for tonight. Then we'll move on to Air A. We got some good ones. Should NCAA players be allowed to go pro before they graduate? And I believe a lot of this has changed a little bit, but KG, Kobe, obviously did that. They skipped college and went just straight to the NBA. So, Voldy, what do you think?
I would say for their own good, I would say no.
Okay.
Especially nowadays, now that they have the name, image, and likeness deals going on right now. I mean, they don't have to. I don't know the full extent of their contracts with certain companies for brands that say, hey, you have to go pro within, you have to play at least one season professionally or something like that. But a lot of these people that are signing, a lot of these athletes that are signing these deals, there is really no prospect of them going pro. I mean, if there is, it's very, it's a very limited opportunity that they do have. And if they do, so be it. It works out great for them. But I would think that if I were, the NCAA or something like that, I would definitely look at that and you can't really contradict, because obviously the NCAA and all the professional sports leagues that I don't want to say is a feeder system, but it does develop the next crop of generational talent as well. Because at the end of the day, you go professional, you don't know, you go after your freshman year, you go professionally, you don't know, I would certainly hope that you wouldn't know, a lot of the financial side, how agents work, taxes, contract negotiations, things of that sort. For your own good, I would feel like being able to have a college degree to at least have something to fall back on in the event that, it doesn't work out for you going professional in whatever sport. You get injured, you have a devastating injury that, you can't play ever again. Maybe you go into coaching or something like that. Have something to fall back on to the point where say, okay, at least I have my degree in, business administration or some sort of degree that can allow you to be a coach or something like that. That would be helpful. So in my mind, I would say that, athletes need to graduate in order to go pro. But that's just me. Then again, you know what? They could get hurt in college, and that's all a moot point. But nowadays, with the name, image, and likeness deals, I feel like they'll be all off just fine.
Right. I agree pretty much with everything that you said. I think it's one of those things where now that they have the image and likeness and whatnot, there's really no need. And at the same time, too, you want to graduate. Like you said, you need to have something to fall back on. And I think there's a lot of people that are set up like that. And it's like, well, I'll make all this money and then not have to pay a dime. Well, some of those guys have to, some of those guys pay or buy a little too much and find out, hey, it's all gone now. Why did it go? Well, there's a lot to be said. Hard no, not mature enough. Might not be big enough, might not be fast enough. Also, like Voldy said, have to have a backup plan and have a degree. I 100%. Now, if they do go pro before they graduate, there's a lot of guys that do go back and finish it. Dalvin's one of those guys.
Takes them
Alexander
2 years,
Madison.
but you know what? Good for them.
Alexander Madison. I believe Larry Fitzgerald. And I believe his mom told him to get that degree before she unfortunately passed. But there's a lot to be said if you go and have a backup plan. It's like, well, I'll just go into coaching or something like that. And yeah, you can. And a lot of people are successful when they do that after the NFL and whatnot. But I think you got to have something in place to where you can fall back on it and not have to rely on, well, I'll just have all this money and save it, yada yada. But what does that get you? You got to have a backup plan. I agree wholeheartedly as well. And if you're doing what Barkley's doing and Shaq's doing, I mean, you're not really away from the game, and you're doing something you love. So, but anyway, let's take a look at this. So here's a cool stat for you, Voldy. NCAA and zoners, NCAA postseason now this is like after the season, not like a postseason, like playoff or anything. Basketball players who graduate, 90% are women that do go and finish it off or just to get it done. And then men are 70%. So those are not bad. The source is the Institute for Diversity and Ethics in Sport and at the University of Central Florida, so UCF. So kind of a cool stat if you guys want to check it out as well.
Neat.
It's pretty neat. Yeah, it's very neat. But anyway, that's going to do it for Table Topics this time. It was fun. And
cool.
We had some good ones, a lot of cool insight as well. And, celebrities. If you guys have any other celebrities you want to throw out that you'd like to see at a game, throw it out there, because why the heck not, right? So, anyway, we're going to move on to ARA. We've got some nice ARAs. We're going to almost revert back to this whole Wolves thing, especially with Simmons and whatnot. So, we got a lot of good ARA stories for tonight. So, let's get it going with some absurd or approved.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
All right, it is time for Absurd or Approved. So, Voldy, why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
Well, if you think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with a 2-0 start on the season couldn't try and get themselves any more richer with getting all 11 starting offensive starters, all 11 starting defensive starters back from this past season, including all the specialists that they had, well, they're trying to maybe add just one more tiny little piece to this pie as well. 1 week after the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did have to put their starting quarterback, Sean Murphy-Bunting, on the injured reserve with a hellacious dislocated elbow. Yeah, thanks Antoine Winfield Jr. for doing that in the season opener as well. Well, Bruce Arians decided to, maybe make a call and see if they try and reach out to somebody. How about good old 33-year-old Richard Sherman, the free agent that is in the longtime starter, the corner piece of the Legion of Boom defense that was in Seattle in his heyday. Certainly as one of the most experienced defensive backs in the league and quite possibly in league history, especially with the likes of the youngest defensive backfield in the league as well. Certainly would provide a very interesting piece. Is it absurd or approved? Would there be a possibility that Richard Sherman be an asset to the Bucs defense if he was able to come back?
Ooh, that's a great question. It was kind of, I don't know if I would, I don't know if I'd say surprising, but, when the 49ers kind of just we're pretty much all and sudden done with Richard Sherman. Not saying
Right.
it was a bad breakup. I don't know if it was or wasn't, but he obviously with the that issue that he had not too long ago, which is crazy to think. I almost forgot about that, to be honest. But I think it would be good for him, for one, and obviously going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers would be not a bad deal because apparently Brady can get anybody he wants on the team, and then Jason Light is the ultimate deciding factor on whether they want to sign him and things like that. But they've reached out to him and said, hey, we're down a couple guys. Carlton Davis, mild hamstring strain on Friday, and they've been banged up. That secondary's kind of been banged up, and I think they gotta, they're going to be looking at that. But yeah, I'd say it's got my stamp of approval just because it helps fill the need. But if he's able to come back, and obviously we got to see what happens with his legal situation right now, which is kind of surprising because Sherman's kind of a guy that's not. I mean, he's very vocal, I should say, but that I think something must have really tweaked him that night and whatnot. But he's 33. I think he can be an asset, and I think he can be a veteran presence. But obviously, we've seen what Clowntonio has done in Tampa, and he's done pretty well. Actually, now on the COVID list, I believe. Yep. But it's got my stamp.
Tyler Johnson to have a big week.
Yeah, exactly. Our guy, Tyler Johnson. But I would say Sherman. I think if they're able to get him, that'd be great for the Tampa Bay defense. So it's got my stamp of approval. Voldy, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this is definitely a good situation that, if Sherman can get through the legal issues and try to find his way back in the league, this would be probably a good fit for him as well, especially be one of those coaches out on the field, especially in a banged-up defensive backfield that they have as well in Tampa. I mean, coming off a week where Mike Edwards had 2 pick sixes for them as well in that win against Atlanta. That certainly is a nice little feather in the cap for them. But, depth is never going to be an issue for any team as well, and especially when you get another role player to get in that has the experience and the playmaking ability of Richard Sherman. Sure, maybe not quite as fast and quite as impactful as he once was in his younger years in Seattle, but could definitely still help out and maybe take a few tips and again be that coach on the field for the defensive backfield for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's got my stamp of approval.
And obviously he's experienced. He's very, and he pled not guilty. I don't know. Obviously, the video that we saw looked very. I mean, he was pretty pissed, and
he was.
So I don't know, and it depends on how that all shakes about. But if Arians and the Bucs want him, and go ahead, go get him and see what happens. But I don't think it can hurt. All right, next one, Voldy.
Well, the Ben Simmons Philadelphia experiment is maybe not so smooth right now, as it was reported earlier this week that it looks like that Ben Simmons is not going to be reporting to training camp, and it is quoted as saying never intends to play another game for the 76ers ever once again. He wants a trade out of Philadelphia and told management that he has no plans to wear an NBA uniform again until he is moved to a new team. Oof. And the guy is only 25 years old, still has 4 years and $147 million left on his Supermax contract, including $33 million left for $33 million just this season alone. I'll take $33 million to win only 7 games. I would be more than happy about that. But apparently that's not enough for Ben Simmons, and we look at this whole situation as well. I know that a lot of his shooting ability is something that comes into question. I watched SportsCenter for like 5 minutes here before the show came on, and that was one of the things that they highlighted was his shooting in like the fourth quarter or something like that was not very good to begin with. But my question is it absurd or approved? Will the 76ers trade Ben Simmons by the start of the NBA regular season?
Ooh, by the start of the NBA regular season. That's a great, yeah. That's tough because the one thing that the 76ers have to do, Voldy and Zoners, is they have to, their expectations on what they want in return aren't as realistic as they think. I think they've been asking for like 2 first-rounders, 3 first-rounders in some aspects, to get in return for Ben Simmons. And I think they it said they were disappointed by the offers and yada, 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 this and that. But in order for them to get this done, they need to look at the situation and say, we're not going to get those 2 first-rounders. We're not going to get 3 first-rounders like we think. Now, Simmons is only 25, like you mentioned. And like you said, with the extension and everything along those lines, there's a lot of animosity on both sides. And I think with the 76ers, you got to get better at shooting, buddy. And then, like you said, in the fourth quarter, like they were talking about, like he wasn't good. And he's supposed to, the thing is before he got drafted, I believe people were already saying he could be the next LeBron James, things like that. Well, LeBron James isn't missing a lot of shots now. And Ben Simmons is a really good defender. And you know who would benefit with it would be the Timberwolves, in all honesty. And, obviously there might have been a chain reaction. The disagreements with Rosas and management and everything, and maybe he wanted Simmons, maybe he didn't want Simmons, they wanted Simmons, who knows? But I'm going to say stamp of approval. I think they're going to realize, hey, if we want to get this done, we better get this done now. Now, I think Doc Rivers wants him back and to work on his shooting. We got to get it done. Doc Rivers. But I would like to see him. I'd like to see him be traded, and if he is traded to the Wolves, I think you're probably going to have to give up either probably not Cat, probably not Ant, but I think it'd probably be D'Lo if that were the case.
Yeah.
Maybe even Pat Bev to sweeten it, but
unfortunately.
Yeah. I think Voldy. I'm going to say that. Yeah, I think he's going to be traded. Stamp of approval before the start of the regular season. I think they're going to cave. They're going to find a deal that they're going to like. They're not going to get all these first rounders that they think. They probably have to be like a 3-team trade if they want that. We'll see. So Voldy, what do you think?
You look at the situation overall as well. I know that Ben Simmons wants out. Philadelphia just wants him and Joel Embiid on the same floor at the same time because it's not like they had a terrible season. I mean, They were in the Eastern Conference semifinals, and they played against Atlanta. Atlanta was just a hot team this year, and, unfortunately, just for some reason, things have not worked out well for Ben Simmons, and maybe Embiid is getting the more attention that he has been getting here this year. But, the numbers, unfortunately, aren't as strong in favor of, Ben Simmons. He's got the contract, but the more that this drags out, the more it's going to cost him. But I feel like at the same time, it's not about the money in this situation. I'm looking here at some of the last parts that could be part of the CBA here, and it also does, throw in the fact that Simmons, if he continues to sit out, that they can suspend him for failing to render services by not playing as well. Once the preseason games start, it's going to cost Ben Simmons over $227,000 for each game that's missed.
Can I have some of that?
Yeah, exactly. Does that go into the hat? We start passing it around, and whoever ends up at the end gets the hat too with the money at the same time. But I mean, it's crazy. I mean, he can even get half his money for this year before October 1st as well. So half of $33 million, I'll definitely take some of that money too. By the start of the year, I could definitely see, I'm going to say stamp of approval, Ben Simmons gets traded before the start of the year.
To the Wolves, do you think?
Probably. I don't know. Okay. I feel like Timberwolves going to need to make a splash somehow, and with no true basketball operations president right now, I mean, Why not? Throw
Why
enough
the hell
stuff on
not?
the wall, see what sticks.
There you go. I believe was it Toronto? I believe Golden State. They're not. There are people that are speculating that, but they're not feeling that. There's another. Oh yeah, San Antonio as well. That might be a fit. I don't know. I just hope that it's all said and done here, because honestly, it's kind of getting annoying by now. It's like just trade him. He wants out. Let him be traded. He doesn't want to be there, so trade him. All right, next one, Voldy.
Well, speaking of one player that wants to get traded to a team that wants to trade a player, John Wall and the Houston Rockets have come to an arrangement that they're going to try and find a new place for John Wall, as it looks like that the franchise is going to be moving on with Kevin Porter Jr. and Jalen Green in the starting backcourt. And they're working together to find a trade destination. Nothing has come out recently as of yet. 31-year-old John Wall is expected not to play for Houston this season, but they have decided that a bench role for him wouldn't be beneficial to either party, because it seems that John Wall still got some life in those legs as well. Over the next 2 seasons, it looks like $91.7 million is going to be owed to John Wall, and it looks like that money is going to be eaten up somewhere else, and including a player option after this season for $47.4 million as well. Is it absurd or approve the Rockets doing everything that they can to trade John Wall, and where will he land?
Yeah, because the Rockets were terrible this past year, and
Yep.
the reason being is I think Wall wants to be on a team where he can win, and yeah, he had some really good years with Washington and whatnot. But I think the Rockets know at this point, like, hey, this isn't, you're not in our future type of thing, but we want to work out something for you. Mm-hmm. Now, there are some teams that I think would be interested. I still think Wall still has a little. He's got enough left to be able to play at a high level, and I really do believe that. And shout out to Aaron Madsen as well, since he is a big John Wall supporter. Obviously, him going to Kentucky, go Cats! Yeah, I really think that he's. I think they're under a mutual agreement to say, okay, let's work out something. And I think, the Rockets, with how things went with Harden and Westbrook and CP3 and all that stuff, they're kind of just trying to find their footing a little bit. Now, as for a team, man, I don't know. It's a tough thing to think about, because I'd probably say, gosh, I'm trying to think of it. Maybe San Antonio. That would be a nice place. Work with Popovich. Obviously, I don't think he don't even say the Wolves at this point. But it wouldn't surprise me. But at the same time, why would they do that? It wouldn't make sense. But yeah, I'd probably say San Antonio. Another team that I was thinking about too. Not Denver, but gosh. But anyway, I'll think of it. But I I'd probably say San Antonio probably be the best fit for him, just because he can work with Popovich and have Popovich rely on him. They have DeRozan there too, so I would probably say San Antonio. Yeah, hopefully Wall finds a place where he can actually compete for something too, because I really still think he's a good player. So, but anyway, I think it's got my stamp of approval. I think they're in mutual agreement to be get this thing done. So anyway, Voldy, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a good decision on both parts as well for the franchise, because obviously they're in a situation once the likes of James Harden and the Russell Westbrook both left town, PJ Tucker as well, that were primary examples of how things went with the franchise in the last few years. Veterans aren't the strong suit, unfortunately, for Houston as well, unless you get James Harden, who came over still at a young time into his career and really blossomed overall. Yeah. As for a place for him to go, I don't know. It's the NBA. You get guards a dime a dozen as well. Right. I could throw out one team, and then it'd probably be wrong. Could throw out another team and still be wrong as well. I'm just going to say Timberwolves. Screw it at this point because it's much more ridiculous than what's going on with the Timberwolves right now. Just throw them in there and see what the hell happens.
Yeah, with Ant, you got Ant, and then you have Wall, and I mean, shoot, it's looking pretty good.
Guys on the court. Nobody actually plays a position. Yeah. It's just like, I'm going to go here, you go there, I'm going to throw you the ball in the corner. Let's see what happens.
Maybe Oklahoma City, I think, is looking for somebody too. I mean, it's there's an option there, but it's just I don't know. Maybe throw Wall on the. Well, no, they got Kyrie. What was that?
Put him on the Lakers. Screw it. Everybody's going to Lakers.
Yeah,
all guys are going there.
That's
one last ride. It's like the
Westbrook,
movies with the Lakers right now.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Maybe even the Clippers. I don't know. Something like that.
Shoot.
Well, think about it.
Arena. Might as well throw them in there.
Yeah. Might as well throw them in there. All right. Next one. Voldy.
Sorry, I had a cough there for a second. Good. Well, the Indianapolis Colts did get a benefit of having Carson Wentz back in for the first 2 weeks of the season, but Carson Wentz not looking like he's going to be able to compete for week number 3 coming up here against Tennessee.
I got you covered.
Golly, I'm just all over the place right now. Talking about it as well against the Rams at this past week. The Indianapolis Colts did lose Carson Wentz partway through the contest because, well, he didn't sprain just one, but both ankles on the same play when he was taken down by Rams defensive lineman Aaron Donald as well, which did unfortunately lead to Carson Wentz having to limp out of the contest and then bringing in the likes of, I think Jacob Eason is the backup quarterback there for the Indianapolis Colts. And now Jacob Eason's no slouch himself. Had a pretty nice, good college career in his time. Now going up against the Tennessee Titans, who are looking to find themselves in the AFC South as well. And it's looking like that both these teams are struggling to start off the year as well. Now looking at it overall, is it absurd or approved that the Indianapolis Colts, with whatever low performance offensively they've had here to start off the year, will not skip a beat with Jacob Eason at the quarterback position with Carson Wentz possibly being out here for this week?
Ooh, that's a great question, Voldy. It's one of these. I feel like every time we associate Carson Wentz and whenever he plays a game or two, then all of a sudden he gets hurt. Why does that always happen? I don't know. And the tackle, I can see why. You have 2 sprained ankles. I mean, who gets 2 sprained ankles? Apparently, Carson Wentz. Now, Jacob Eason, he got into the game. He throws a pick. Ho-hum, right? But against Tennessee, and I think Seymour's going to like this, but, I mean, Tennessee, the way that they fought back against Seattle, I just don't see him having the same success. So, I think it's absurd. I think they'll miss a little bit of a beat. But I think what they'll do, though, is they'll probably rely on Jonathan Taylor a little bit in the run game. And I think they can be successful. It's just, you got to how screen passes, short passes, things like that. But eventually you got to throw the ball down the field. Now, not saying that the defense for Tennessee is a slouch or anything like that, but I think he'll have some trouble. I really think he'll have some trouble. So, I think it's absurd. I think they're going to miss a beat or two this week against Tennessee because they are at Tennessee. But Frank Reich, he's a good coach. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He could maybe work around something, but it wouldn't surprise me if the Colts won that game. But, it seems like Carson's not going to play in this game. But I don't know. I could be proven wrong. We'll see. Voldy, what do you think?
I think with as low as the bar has been set in Indy right now for the start of their season, I don't think it's going to get much better, even with Jacob Eason taking over against Tennessee. I'll be the first one to admit both these teams fairly underwhelming. That whole division is very underwhelming with the Houston Texans Indy, you throw in Jacksonville and Tennessee. It's like one of the worst divisions in the NFL right now, just because of the fact it seems that just about every other year, at least one, if not multiple, of these franchises are in a rebuilding phase of some sort as well. With Jacob Eason, it'd be interesting to see. Get him a full reps and ability to chance to at least play as well. See what the young guy's got and see if he can at least make a name for himself. With even Sam Ehlinger in the mix, too. Yep. I mean, there's certainly going to be maybe a dual quarterback position if Eason struggles on early, and maybe they'll go with Ehlinger, see who gets those multiple first-team reps throughout the week.
Yeah, I think that's it's going to be interesting who they start Sunday. So Ehlinger would be interesting. I'd like to see him play. Apparently, he had a pretty good preseason, so who knows? Who knows? But we'll find out. We will find out and go from there. So anyway, last one, Voldy.
Yeah, this one too, because we all know the excitement of the NFL and also the NFL Combine that comes each year. Well, it looks like that the NFL is going to take to an international level as well, with an international combine for 50 athletes from 14 countries that's coming up next month in London. The Invitational Scouting Showcase is going to, be very similar to the annual combine that's held in Indianapolis each year. The idea is to find international athletes who have the skill sets to potentially play in the league as well. It's going to be October 12th at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium as well. There's athletes from all over Europe. Some of the other far-lying countries, New Zealand's on there as well, Belgium, Germany, Austria, Slovakia, Switzerland, Hungary, Finland, Sweden as well. And, of course, we do know the success of the recent international player pathway. There's some players that are still contributing in the NFL as well. Buffalo's got a defensive end. New England's got their German fullback and Jakob Johnson as well, and even the likes of Washington tight end Samus Reyes as well has definitely provided a little bit of note for the international pathway program too. Is it absurd or approved? The NFL continuing to tap into London and also Europe and also the international pathway program too for some of these players.
Well, at first when I saw this ARA for tonight, I originally thought, so they're taking the NFL Combine of all the guys in the U.S. and bringing it to London. I was about to say, Voldy, it's absolutely 100% absurd. But no, it's not. It's actually not, to be honest with you. It's not, because now that you get into the link and then you see it, I mean, this is great. I think for international athletes, this is, for guys that obviously want to play in the NFL from an international country, from Germany, Belgium, New Zealand, like you said, Sweden, for one. I think the pathway program is great. I think there should be more of it. Now, it's because I don't think you can compete with the NFL. Canadian football, it's like, yeah, you're not competing with that. Even XFL, and I mean, there's some cool aspects to it. Don't get me wrong with XFL, or did at one point, and then COVID and whatnot. But I think this is something that they should keep doing and whatnot. And I think give them a fair shake at everything. And I would say that it's one thing to look at this and say, well, they're not going to make it in the league. Who cares? I mean, someone might. You never know. I mean, look at the athletes that have gone through that program. F.A. Oddba, Obada, or something like that. Jacob Johnson, Samis Reyes. I mean, there are guys that have played and have been somewhat successful. So it's got my stamp of approval. Keep it going with this, the internationals, with the international combine and whatnot. But yeah, from the looks of it, I was like, why are they doing that? That is so stupid. And obviously we could we could go links or we could talk about it at length there, but obviously this has got my stamp of approval 100%. So Voldy,
Yeah, that was my first thought when I clicked on the story, and I thought, wait, they're going to move the combine to London of all places. Like, I know that they were taking bids to host the combine for other cities and other venues across the country, but London, really, a little bit on the heavy side. I like this idea because again, you start to see some of the stories of the the old success of the the NFL world and NFL Europe back in the day as well, that provided a lot of great players, a lot of opportunities that end up playing in the NFL, and those chances as well internationally to help grow the game of American style football too. I just wish there was a little bit more love for American football in Canada, because you know what? I miss the times that you'd see maybe the Buffalo Bills play a game or two up in Toronto or something like that. A couple years ago, when the Packers did a preseason game in Winnipeg or something like that, there was that whole controversy about them playing in Canada and the field being crap, and obviously the goalposts not being lined up properly, and that was a whole song and dance about that too. But wish there was that opportunity to grow that game a little bit more closer to home. But I think it's got my stamp of approval. It just always reminds me of the time when the Vikings drafted what's his name, Moritz Boringer.
Yes,
that wide receiver guy. I love that dude. Too bad that kind of worked out for the Vikings, but stuff like that always brings that a nice little memory to mind as well. So hopefully this continues to grow the game a little bit more.
Oh yeah, I think it will, and I think those you never know who's going to come out of there and be a really good player. So keep it going. That's all I got to say. So stamp of approval all around. But anyway, great job with ARA as always, Voldy.
Thanks, sir.
And it's time for some Shield shoutouts. We got a stacked lineup of Shield shoutouts this week, it looks like. So even a Zona favorite or / Zoner favorite as well. So let's get it going with some Shield shoutouts.
Shield shoutouts.
All right, Shield, who ya shouting out tonight?
Well, we got to start off and give a congratulations, former Minnesota Viking, former New England Patriot, Super Bowl champ, Cordero Patterson scoring his first tutties with the new squad, that being the Atlanta Falcons. Unfortunately, a loss to Tampa Bay on Sunday. And Cordero not only rushing for a touchdown, but also getting a receiving touchdown as well. And as always, hashtag Fear the Dreads for Cordero Patterson, finding his way into the end zone once again. Got to give a shout out to left-handed pitcher for the Cleveland Baseball Club, no longer that team that they used to be called by, and yet still get called by as well, even though they have no longer used the mascot in recent years. But Anthony Ghost, now if the name sounds familiar to those diehard baseball fans like myself, he was called up on Monday for making his return to Major League Baseball as a pitcher, and just steadily throwing 100 miles an hour through the strikes as well. I did spend much of his career as kind of a fourth man, platoon outfielder before he decided to maybe make a switch and try to become a pitcher, which he did back in 2016. So it's taken him 5 years to get back to the major league level, and he did it with Cleveland on Monday as well to get back into the fight for maybe a little bit of a longer life in the major league Major League Baseball as well. A couple of retirements here that to kick things off, to wrap things up as well here for Shield shoutouts here this week. Do I have to wish happy retirement former UND Fighting Sioux hockey player Travis Zajac. I think I got his autograph somewhere around here.
Take your word for it.
Yeah, exactly. It's here. I know. I've seen it. I actually looked over a bunch of stuff recently. Signed a one-day contract earlier this week with the New Jersey Devils after being traded to the New York Islanders this past season and playing significant time for them in recent years. But New Jersey Devils is where he started his career, and that's where he wanted to end it, as he announced his retirement from the NHL here earlier this week. And also, happy retirement to a guy that I didn't even know was still playing in the NBA. Former sharpshooter, former Duke Blue Devil, J.J. Redick announced his retirement from the NBA on Tuesday, finishing his 15-year career with
Wow.
6 teams as well in the NBA. And, of course, a well-known player that's still just, no matter where he ended up, you're going to find him open for the 3-ball and definitely do some damage as well. Maybe makes the decision to join his old teammate John Shire when he takes over the coaching staff for the Duke Blue Devils coming up here after this coming season, which Coach K decides to finally hang them up as well. So happy retirement, best of luck on the future for J.J. Redick, and happy trails for former Twins catcher Alex Avila as he announced his pending retirement at the end of the 2021 season. I think he's currently with the Nationals as he announced here this Sunday that he will be retiring at the end of the season as well. Been a very mainstay catcher. No matter where he's been able to control pitching staff and provide a little pop in the lineup as well. I know when he was with the Twins for a hot spell that he was a guy that kind of controlled the pitching staff and, helped guide them in some certain areas and was able to help out with the bat as well. So soon to be happy trails and happy retirement to Alex Avila as well. That's going to do it for Shield Shoutouts this week.
All right. A good set of Shield Shoutouts this week.
Ooh.
Fear the Dreads. Hashtag Fear the Dreads. We love it. Hashtag Fear the Dreads. So, but anyway, great job with Shield Shoutouts as always. And, Zoners, make your picks for Pick'em. Make your picks. Very easy. Go to CBS Sports. Make your picks. Get it rolling. This week, no prizes, but you keep making those picks so you can get some merch. There's that option as well. So we got that for the Zoners. But if you're like, well, I want to help out the guys, help pay for the internet service, things like that. Well, we've got what you need. We've got stickers. We've got awesome stickers. We got $2, right? And then the big ones, obviously, they're $3 as well. So if you need more, if you need more, or if you just want to give it to a family member, we can hook you up with some of that merch. But speaking of merch, also
merch,
shirts as well. These beautiful MinneZona shirts, they're fantastic. 5 out of 5 stars. Yada, yada, yada. Awesome, breathable fabric and whatnot. So make sure you check that out as well. And obviously, these bad boys might be making a comeback soon. They're fantastic shirts as well. So keep an eye out for that. Hats are coming as well. So
very soon.
Keep your eye out for that because if you buy some, it helps us pay for the internet service here with eCam and whatnot. Also, shout out to National Fleet Graphic, Crown Rental, Tyler Knutson for getting that for us, for the stickers. And then also, check out W2 Performance, the Barbell Nerds. Rattel already posted a video during their show here. I saw a notification.
What the heck?
So, especially with this Rosas news, I expected him to be on here. But, we're going to work on getting him. But anyway, he's got stickers too. These bad boys, $2. Just $2. Very, very simple. Throw some love out to our guy, Will Rattel. Also, throw some love out to Jack O'Keefe, Jack's Junkyard. He's got apparel. He's doing fantastic. He's on the TikTok, social medias. Make sure you check him out, like his page, all that fun stuff. Also, check out Breaking Into the League with Sam Gabrielli, Ryan Martin, available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So make sure you check out everything hockey because hockey's starting up again. So we might have to get these guys on and chat about the guy over here, Kaprizov. So I think we got to get that rolling. So Kirill the Thrill, our guy, he's back. So, all right, Voldy, great job as always. And think about this. It was a jam-packed show. We went a little overtime because, again, there's breaking news after breaking news after breaking news. But we love giving the show to you zoners. And we appreciate you guys tuning in. I mean, we love that you guys tune in. We love the feedback that we get from you guys. We just appreciate everything. Don't you cry. Don't you cry. We're getting closer and closer to 100. So be along with us for this ride. It's pretty fun.
For sure.
So, but anyway, as always, folks, keep in the zone.
Holla.
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.